There's a kind of person who can walk into a room and know within seconds that something is wrong. Nobody said a word, nothing looked out of place, but they felt it before anyone else did. Most people call that anxiety, they call it overthinking, they call it being too sensitive, but there's a growing body of psychology that calls it something else entirely. It calls it intelligence. A rare, hard-won kind of intelligence that most people will never develop. Because most people were never forced to. Because what you're about to hear might completely change how you see your own mind. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the things you were told to fix about yourself might actually be the sharpest tools you own. Psychologists have a name for the wounds that shape us early: adverse childhood experiences. The research on them, pioneered by Dr. Vincent Felitti, showed something the world wasn't ready for. Pain in childhood doesn't just leave scars. It rewires the brain. And in some people, that rewiring produces something extraordinary. A mind that reads faster, senses deeper, and understands more than the people around it. Not because they were born gifted, because they had to become gifted to survive. This isn't about celebrating pain. Pain is not a gift. But what a mind builds in the aftermath of pain, that can be. We're going to go through 11 signs that you carry this rare form of intelligence. Some will make you proud. Some might sting. And the last few might finally give you the language for something you've felt your whole life. Let's start with the one almost everyone misreads. Sign 1. You read the room before you read the people. You walk into a space and you scan it instantly, automatically. You know the mood before anyone speaks. This is what neuroscientist Stephen Porges calls neuroception, the nervous system's ability to detect safety or danger beneath conscious thought. In people shaped by unpredictable environments, this system becomes finely tuned. Your body learned to gather information the moment you entered a room, because once reading that room wrong had a cost. So while others see a party, you see 100 tiny signals, the tension in a jaw, the distance between two people who used to stand closer. You're not imagining it, you're processing it. Sign 2. You run the worst-case scenario automatically. Before you make a decision, your mind has already played out how it could go wrong. Every exit, every risk, every way the ground could shift. People call this pessimism. But researchers who study threat forecasting see something sharper. A brain trained by instability builds powerful predictive models. Bessel van der Kolk, who wrote the landmark book on trauma, describes how the wounded brain stays perpetually ready, scanning the horizon for the next storm. The cost is that you rarely relax. The gift is that you're almost never caught off guard. When the thing everyone feared finally arrives, you already have a plan, because you built it weeks ago in the quiet of your own head. Sign 3. You feel other people's emotions like weather. Someone walks in carrying a bad day, and you feel it change the air. You absorb moods that aren't yours. You leave crowded places drained in a way you can't explain. Psychologist Elaine Aron studied this and called it high sensitivity, a nervous system that processes emotional information more deeply than average. In people who grew up watching the moods of others for signs of danger, this becomes a survival skill turned superpower. You learn to feel the room because feeling it first kept you safe. That's why you understand people so quickly. You're not guessing at what they feel. You're feeling it with them, whether you ask to or not. Sign 4. You stay calm when everyone else falls apart. The emergency hits, and something in you goes quiet, focused, steady. While others freeze or panic, you become the one who acts. Psychiatrist Bruce Perry, who spent decades studying how stress shapes the developing brain, explains that repeated exposure to crisis can train the nervous system to function under pressure that overwhelms most people. Your body already knows this state. It lived here before. People often misread this as coldness. They wonder why you're not falling apart with them. But you're not detached. You're deployed. You learned long ago that when things break, someone has to keep their head. And it was always going to be you. Sign 5. You notice the smallest change in a face or voice, a slight shift in someone's tone, a half-second flicker across their face. You catch it, and you know something changed before they say a word. Psychologist Paul Ekman built an entire science around this, the study of microexpressions, the involuntary flashes of feeling that cross a face in a fraction of a second. Most people miss them completely. You don't. A childhood spent reading a parent's mood to predict the day sharpened this into instinct. It's why lies rarely get past you for long. It's why you sense the goodbye before it's spoken. You've been decoding faces since before you had the words for what you saw. Sign 6. Your mind refuses to shut off. You lie down to sleep and your brain lights up. Old conversations, future problems, a thought from 3 years ago that still won't let go. This is rumination, and researcher Susan Nolan-Hoeksema showed how the mind loops on unresolved pain, replaying it in search of an answer. In a brain that never got to fully relax, the machinery of vigilance keeps running long after the danger is gone. This is the cost side of your intelligence, the part no one talks about, the same mind that sees everything struggles to ever stop seeing. Your gift and your exhaustion come from the same source. The mind that once had to stay awake, to stay safe, doesn't know it's allowed to sleep now. Understanding that is the first step to finally giving it rest. If you've made it this far, and you're recognizing yourself in these signs, not just nodding along, but actually feeling them, that tells me something about you. You're someone who wants to understand your own mind, not just live inside it. It would mean a lot if you hit subscribe. We make videos like this every week, real psychology explained in a way that finally makes sense. Now let's keep going, because the next signs go deeper. Sign 7. You grew up faster than everyone around you. You were the responsible one, the mature one, the kid who felt older than their age and never quite knew how to be young. Developmental psychologists call this parentification, when a child takes on adult responsibilities and emotional labor too early. Gregory Jerkovich studied how these children become remarkably capable, competent beyond their years, able to manage what others can't. The world handed you weight before you were ready, and you carried it anyway. That's why you're so dependable now. But somewhere inside you is a younger version who never got to just be a kid. Part of this intelligence is learning to finally take care of them too. Sign 8. You brace against good things. Something good happens, and instead of joy, you feel suspicion. When is it going to fall apart? What's the catch? You wait for the other shoe to drop. This comes from unpredictability, from living where good moments were often followed by bad ones. Psychologists describe how intermittent, inconsistent environments teach the brain not to trust stability. So you flinch at happiness, because happiness once meant the calm before a storm. It's exhausting to never fully land in a good moment. But it also means you're rarely naive, rarely swept away. The work here isn't to lose your caution. It's to slowly teach your nervous system that some good things get to stay. Sign 9. You solve problems no one ever taught you to solve. Drop you into chaos with no instructions and you find a way through. You improvise, you adapt, you figure it out, because figuring it out was never optional. Researchers on resilience describe this as adaptive resourcefulness, the mind's ability to generate solutions under pressure when no map exists. You didn't learn this in a classroom. You learned it in situations where no adult was coming to help, so you became the help. That's why people underestimate you and then watch you handle the impossible. You've been solving problems above your pay grade your entire life. While others waited for the right conditions, you learned to make something out of whatever was in front of you. Improvisation isn't a skill for you. It's a native language. Sign 10. You carry a deep compassion for other people's pain. You can spot the person hurting behind the smile. You're drawn to the ones who are struggling. And you can sit with someone in their darkness without needing to fix it or flee. Carl Jung wrote about the wounded healer, the idea that those who've suffered often become the ones most able to help others heal. Your pain gave you a map of the terrain, so when someone else is lost in it, you know the way through. This is where your intelligence becomes something more than sharp. It becomes kind. You turned what hurt you into the ability to reach people no one else can reach. Sign 11. You turned your pain into understanding. Here's the last one, and it's the most important. At some point, you stopped just surviving what happened to you and started making meaning from it. Psychologists Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun named this post-traumatic growth, the profound transformation that can rise from struggle, not despite the pain, but woven through it. It's rarer than people think. Many survive. Fewer turn survival into wisdom. But you did. You took the very thing meant to break you and forged it into insight, depth, and a way of seeing the world that most people will never have. That is traumatic intelligence. And it was never a flaw. It was the mind refusing to be defeated. So the next time someone calls you too sensitive, too intense, too much in your head, you'll know exactly what they're actually looking at. They're looking at a mind that learned to see in the dark. Someone who reads rooms because they had to, who feels deeply because feeling kept them safe, who stays calm in the storm because they were forged in one. Not broken, built. Built by the hardest teacher there is, and still standing. Your intelligence didn't come cheap. You paid for it in ways most people can't imagine. Nobody would choose the road that built you, but you walked it, and it made you into someone who sees what others miss and holds what others drop. But it's real, it's rare, and it's yours. And now you have the words for it. If this spoke to you, I made another video on the hidden strengths of people who've survived too much. It's right here when you're ready. I think it'll hit just as hard.